and welcome to Meanwhile in the Falklands, episode number 185. And listen, in case you're thinking, is that a spooky door that's just opened up? It wasn't. It's Oliver sitting on one of the old chairs we've got in the studio and just leaned back on it, and it was a bit of a noisy there.
Yeah, I kind of messed up there, I think. I just thought no one could notice it, but Paula straight away noticed it. Yeah, it's a very squeaky... Oh, there you go. It's a very squeaky chair if you turn around.
So a lot of our listeners are headphones on, walking the dog. That's you, Scott, by the way. Or, having a little wander around, and then they'll hear everything, you see.
I'll keep very still, but I have swizzly chairs are my weaknesses sometimes.
Yeah. I tell you what, I find... I've just been looking on the Falkland Islands Community Board to have a look, see if there's anything we can talk about. And I love the fact that somebody obviously up on the east side of Stanley this morning woke up, opened their curtains to discover there was a sheep in their garden, and has put on Facebook, "Is this your lawnmower?" Somebody has now claimed the sheep, and they've gone to collect her, and so she's all right. But did you see that when you were on? Because obviously, when you first joined us, I told you to join things like that. What did you think of posts like that?
I think they're funny. I think they're hilarious. So people put a bit of a jokey twist to it as well. So, like I say, sheep are renowned for eating grass, so very, very small. So, yeah, I just think some of them are quite funny. Some of them are quite, controversial, but the majority of them are funny.
Sometimes.
Yeah, majority of them are funny.
So there's one sheep on Jeremy Moore Avenue, actually, that sort of escapes from its garden and then walks up the road on the pavement, might I add, and then just has a little wander and then walks back and goes back to their own garden. Chickens are the ones that generally get lost.
Well, it's funny because apparently FITV, well, you'll know when FITV House, they had a sheep at one point, didn't they?
They did have a sheep. It wasn't their sheep, though. It's somebody else's sheep, and it just came in to eat the grass. They did have ducks at one stage, which was awful because one of the ladies who worked for us was terrified of birds.
Right.
And the thing is, they had 3 male ducks, which is not great in the duck world. To have 3 male ducks together because they get very aggressive with each other, and eventually they had to go and live on a farm somewhere on the west.
Well, at the moment we've got a pet rock. That's as far as we've got. We got some chickens from a next door neighbour, a neighbour, and the chickens keep coming in the morning and waking us up and then going to their coop. So it's quite. That's basically at FITV House at the moment. So
one of the most funny and quite terrifying things to see is a chicken running towards you.
Oh really?
If you're straight on and a chicken's running towards you, it is both terrifying but hilariously funny at the same time. It's worth trying to sort out, actually, so you can have a look. Anyway, so listener, it's just me and Ollie again this week. Hannah's doing well in the UK. We've got our new lady, Catherine, who will be coming down mid-September, but they will both have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And then we should be back. We'll be back up to full speed.
Yeah, we'll have again. Four people then, won't we?
Well,
and Tom as well.
And Tom as well, 5. We did give a little shout out for Tom last week because he did that fantastic graphics for us for the Indoor Football League. Now, something's happened with that Football League because I saw when you did the last piece, it now no longer says week 10, it says week 1 brackets 2. What's going on?
Yes, so in the Stanley Services League, they start off with the first 9 weeks as a massive group of 10 teams. And then to try and even it out a bit, because some teams are leading the league massively and some teams are losing every week. So they've split the league into 2. Right. So they have the Stanley Services Trophy and they have the Stanley Services Shield. So 2 teams of 5 now.
And that's a plate, really.
That's or a plate, yeah. So so now you have 5 teams now competing. So they play four more games to see who wins that trophy. And they have a game in the plate as well. So it's last week was the first week of phase 2. Okay. And this week is now obviously the second week of phase 2. So it's getting quite interesting so far.
Okay, all right. So that's a little bit of sport for you there, Stephen, if you're still listening with us.
But we have done loads and loads of, every week we've been putting highlights up from the Stanley Services Indoor Football League. So Stephen, if you want to have a look on our Facebook page, it'll be on there.
Yeah, those little are nice. What's else been happening this week? Not a lot really. I've just been talking to our new lady, obviously talking about when she comes and she's in quarantine, what she's going to do. If you had to go into quarantine right now, Ollie, what would be your thing that you would do? So you're not allowed to leave the house.
Yeah.
So how would you remain sane? What kind of things would you do?
I'm quite good at that, to find little things to do. So I've got a new dartboard, so I'll be practicing on the dartboard.
No darts though.
No darts.
If anyone would
I'll
like,
sharpen pencils.
Yeah, if anyone would like to donate darts to Ollie, he'd be very grateful. Yeah.
Yep, thanks. But I don't know. I'd make my own darts. I think I'll do something with it. And then obviously we've set up the living room as like a gaming area. So we've got loads and loads of video games to play.
Lucky you, Catherine, eh?
Well, I think that might be changing, I guess. So when the Catherine arrives, but yeah, we've got that as well. And generally, just keeping myself fit and active, because I'm presuming if you stay by yourself for 2 weeks, you might go a bit. I don't know. It must be quite. I haven't quarantined yet, so but it must be quite difficult to sit around for 2 weeks, not doing much.
My daughter is living in the UK at the moment, and she, obviously, the UK are in that self-isolation stuff. And she was talking about tomorrow, which is the 5th of September, my birthday, by the way, if you want to send me birthday greetings. Tomorrow's the 5th of September, which apparently is Digital Detox Day. And she mentioned a couple of YouTubers or bloggers or vloggers or whatever who were sort of saying that this is a really good thing to do. And I know I've met younger people who are very devoted to digital and online and social media, and it's actually affected them mentally. I mean, do you have regular detox? Because you're a lot younger than I am. Are you that bothered with social media, or?
Without getting too much into social media is a brilliant tool to use to connect people from overseas and to talk to people. But if you let it get on top of you, if you go home and scroll on social media and look at things for 3 hours and you don't really achieve
it's a waste
much.
of time, really. Yeah.
Well, exactly, and another thing as well is you start to develop envy for other people. So you look at, this person's doing this, but this person's doing that.
And it's a lot. Somebody said that to me, and a lot of it is staged, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I was amazed that you get like face tuning apps that like smooth out all your wrinkles and stuff like. I need that.
well, that's what I mean. So people put on their most epic. They're the best of themselves on there. When in reality, it's not like that at all. And I have worked in social media before, and it is, if it does get on top of you, it does hurt, especially. But I do think that's a nice thing to have a digital detox day.
So, 5th of September is the official digital detox day. I have to say, if we'd have known about that before, earlier on in the week, we probably would have done something in the programme about it. But anyway, so my daughter is going to come off all of the internet and just shut it down just for one day and just have a day. So she's going, I'm just wondering what else to do. But she's living very close to where my parents are, and my old ukulele is sitting in that house not doing anything. Get yourself the ukulele, darling. Go and learn how to play that.
Well, that's another thing. If I didn't have the games or the dartboard, I would...
You'd play the ukulele.
Well, not the ukulele, but in the FITV house, we're quite lucky that we've got a bread maker, we've got pasta maker, we've got all this stuff. So lucky you, Catherine. But so I'd be definitely focusing my mind on making, the best loaf or making, just.
Did you make pasta? Have you made pasta with it?
Yeah, it's quite good, and you've used it as well.
I've used it as well. Yeah, I had to borrow it. Yeah.
No, it's very good. But like I said, just these little things, these little skills.
Steve joined the hipster movement earlier on in the week and made a sourdough starter.
Very nice. It was very nice.
And brought in some French stick that had taken like 4 days to create.
He was so happy with it. He loved it. It was awesome.
Bless his heart.
It was good. But like I say, just doing little things really, and I'd probably turn the hallway into a short mat bowls.
Oh yes.
Hallway. I don't know. Rink. I don't know if you.
Do you know what? I was thinking about that because listener Ollie is very much into his short mat bowls, and the problem is finding somewhere decent to practice really.
Yeah.
So I was suggesting that you did it in the Stanley Services corridor because there's a fairly long corridor down here.
Yeah.
And I wondered if we opened this office door and your office door, which is the opposite end of the opposite side of the corridor, you could start down one end and you could use that bias.
To curl in. Oh,
you know when
trick
David
shots.
Beckham started when he was a child, he used to go to the park, and apparently his dad used to put hoops in the goalposts, and he had to aim the football into the hoop, which is why he's so good at
bend it like Beckham.
Yeah.
And all that.
So we could have it, bend it like Ollie down the corridor.
Nice ring to it. I like
Yeah,
it.
and use the bias and aim it so it comes in through the door using the bias at the end.
That's
Yeah,
quite a
you're
good
on
idea.
for that, aren't you?
See the light bulb on top of your head there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
We'll ignore all the marks that it
we'll
will
have to
create.
put some
All the holes in
foam on the sides.
Yeah.
And make sure we're not annoying the other.
Hey, but it's
stand
worth
services.
doing, isn't it?
Cool.
Have a look.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So while Ollie's doing short one bowls, I've been in FIODA rehearsals. That's all going according to plan. That's coming up at the end of October. FITV are going to film that.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's all going very, very well. I've got to make a costume, so I've got to sort that out soon.
So you're in with FIODA then. What's your role? Because you was the secretary at one point, but you've had an AGM, haven't you?
Yeah, so we had an AGM last week. I stood down as secretary, partly because I'm going to the UK next year, so I didn't feel I could really give it my all over the. I mean, not that actually it's not hard work at all, but I won't be directing anything else, and so it's best it's passed on to someone else. It's somebody else's time to do that.
But do you make all the like the costumes and the?
No. We have a wardrobe department.
Oh, brilliant.
But I just enjoy making costumes sometimes. So as long as I don't have to do a whole cast, it's nice just to do just one. I did my own costume for Lady Bracknell and just really enjoy it. You know, but if I had to do the whole lot, no, I couldn't do that. That's why we have a wardrobe department. Teresa and Ruth do all of that. Anyway, talking about pastimes, coming up this coming weekend, no, not this weekend, next weekend, is a dyeing weekend for the Spinners and Weavers Guild. So this is an epic weekend if you're into that kind of thing. So what happens is that everyone who has in the Spinners and Weavers has the opportunity to dye wool top so they can then spin it. Okay. So we have this massive dyeing weekend where we get all the microwaves out, all the dye colours out, and basically you just stand there and you dye kilos and kilos and kilos of wool ready.
So are you going to go for like one colour, or are you going to go for like multicoloured?
Oh no, you go for multicolored. So
cool.
You got to think about what you might use it for and what kind of colours you want, and then you dye them those colours. But you can also dye multicolours on one piece of thing. You get some really nice effects when you then spin it up. So I've just finished the wool that I dyed 2 years ago.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I dyed a shed load of it.
What are you planning to make with it?
I don't.
Who knows yet?
Who knows? Who knows?
Sure, we'll be able to reveal that suit later on.
Yeah. Anyway, you've been having fun with a book that I gave you, which I'm almost regretting giving you now. But
I love it.
But it sounds weird. The 2009 diary from the Falkland Islands Museum, which, although out of date, has all these really seriously interesting things in, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and as soon as you gave it to me, it was like Christmas came early for me. So it was really, I'll move chair. No, it was really nice. And what it is this book that tells you a lot about the history of the Falklands and says what happened on this day. So I might have been coming in a few mornings and be like, oh my God, look what happened here. Look what happened on this day. So I managed to use the book of all knowledge that I now call it.
That's a great name, yes.
And I did a piece on the Canberra Railway, which was 115 years ago since it was first used.
Little known, actually. I was really quite surprised how few people know about it, know of its existence.
Well, I went to the Canberra, and it was quite a quiet, it was quite an eerie place to go there, but it was so, with the old tracks and things like that and the old coaling stations. It was actually really, really nice because it was just me with a camera and a pot of tea, as that standard, to take
Yeah.
it over there. But yeah, it was just nice just to go there and film, and just to see a bit more about the Falklands and
It's
what
worth having a look.
people
We
see.
will stick that up on YouTube for people to have a look at if you don't subscribe to FITV. But then, why are you listening to this if you don't subscribe to FITV? For goodness' sake! So get on and do that. That's your first. In fact, pause this right now. Pause this podcast. Go to fitv.co.fk, subscribe, and then come back.
Brilliant.
There. See, it's worth doing. Worth doing.
There is a lot as well in the coming weeks in the history department. So
It's great. I mean, Bodie Creek Bridge, which we have been trying to do a piece on for 10 years now.
oh wow, okay.
And it's a special birthday coming up, isn't it? I think in September. It's quite a hefty.
Soon, yes. So it'd be quite nice to go there and do another piece. To do a bit more filming on it. Because I did go and I got a few nice shots of it.
Well, let's face it, you went when it absolutely chucked it down with snow.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised you got anything at all, to be honest. It was the day when the flakes were huge flakes of snow coming down, and
I was warned about the Falkland snow, but I just kind of dismissed it as it's just like Yorkshire summer.
But it came
no,
down
but how wrong I was. It was it's very very snowy, especially on that road as well. Because it's basically like a dirt
you got
track.
to be careful. You got to be careful. So talking about going off to Bodie Creek, which is obviously Goose Green, tourism in the Falklands generally is going to be really hard hit, and it's not just those people who are tour guides. It's all the supplementary businesses that have grown up around it. So there is one of the most excellent gift shops in the Falklands which is not open at the moment because there's no tourists. And I interviewed them years ago, and they said, the tourist season is how we keep going through the winter.
So there's drivers, there's accommodation,
Hotels, cafes,
loads of things, and it's become. Is it the biggest, or is it still fisheries? It's one of the biggest.
Fisheries
anyway.
is the biggest, and then it's tourism afterwards. Yeah.
And there's so many sites here, and what we're seeing now on the community page or around is these places are starting to advertise to try and promote domestic tourism. But it must be quite difficult because obviously the last season was the highest on record, 58,000 people, and now they're kind of catering towards 3,300 people.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? Very difficult.
No, I was actually looking on we have this NAS drive that has all the archive footage of FITV and everything. And I stumbled, it's quite interesting, and I stumbled up onto this programme that we used to do called Falklands Out of Focus.
Foof.
Oh, Foof, should I say. Foof. Sorry. Could you tell us a bit about it? Because
Falklands Out of Focus, what a brilliant thing that was. We only did one programme. Programme. We learnt a lot from it, I have to say. First thing being that interviews need to be 2 minutes and no longer, if anything. But yes, we did it at my house. So I invited, it's actually just as we had just done a production for FIODA of Much Ado About Nothing, and I invited everyone to my house. And we just had them all sitting in the conservatory, and then we interviewed people on my sofa in the lounge, and then we had Jana in the kitchen cooking some squid, and then we'd set up the dining room table with some with a trash make to do, and at that time there was a guy on the Legislative Assembly called Michael Poole, who now works for Fortuna, and we just took the mickey out of him actually throughout the whole thing, because he was supposed to be one of the guests, but he had to cancel at the last minute. So every time we mentioned him, we had this clip of him nodding his head, and we slow-moed it down, and we put like this kind of Barry White-esque kind of sexy music underneath it, and just sort of paled it down a bit. So every time we said about Michael Poole, it went straight into this thing with him nodding. It was very funny. It was very funny, but it was a really enjoyable thing to do. Not the best thing to edit, I tell you that now.
Okay.
But we had good fun.
Just because I found it, because obviously our flagship programme is Falklands in Focus.
Focus in
and
Focus.
Then Focus Out of Focus.
You see what we did there?
Yeah, I see what we did. Well, I'm sure the listener does as well. No, but Where did it come from then? Was it just let's do
Yeah,
this?
we just wanted to add to our programming, and at the time we had, quite a few people working for us, and we sort of patched it together. It did take an awful lot. I think it took about four hours to film, I think, in total. But we had the basic plan. Like I say, we learnt a lot from it. Just from me editing it, I learnt a lot of things that we needed to do. Put a lot of little more animations in every so often to move from place to place. It was also a great opportunity to stick some bloopers in there about things that had gone wrong that week. Because they, as you will know when you were at Short Mat Bowls, I think we're probably the only media that can put things like funny things in like that.
Bloopers, yeah.
And it was, I think they always go down well. There's none in this week, can I just say?
Oh, is there not?
No, but
last week wasn't too.
Last week was a blinking nightmare.
Well, if you haven't seen it, me and Paula had probably the best show we've ever done last week, with plenty of bloopers to add in there, plenty of comical moments.
Yeah.
So, but this week, I think it's gone. Well, no doors. I think it's gone.
No,
okay.
I think it's all right. I think they finished doing whatever they were dismantling over there down the corridor. But anyway, let's go back to islands. So, if you are coming to visit the Falkland Islands, well, you probably aren't at the moment. But if you're coming in for a long, for a long time, and you think once your quarantine's over with, and where you're going to learn to play the ukulele, where to go really? Now you've been to an island, haven't you? What was your island?
I've been to Bleaker Island, so on holiday I went just to have a relax and nice little chill out, which was brilliant. I loved it. But there's so many islands here. It's not just west and east, east and west. Sorry, there's so many different little islands, and I'm seeing on Facebook and areas where they're starting to promote their their lodges really for people to come along and have food and to spend their time. But you've been to quite a lot of islands, I believe.
I've been to quite a few islands. Yeah, I've not. The two that I haven't been to is Carcass and Pebble. Only because when I was doing the islands, Pebble was not having people stay there or something. I can't remember what it was. And Carcass clashed with something else that I had to do, so somebody else had to go in my place. But the first one I went to was Sea Lion. And I like that because I'm not a particularly, I don't go on long 10-mile hikes or anything like that, so I'm not that way inclined. And the penguins and the elephant seals are just on the doorstep. You're in a very, very short walk and you're there. And I think that the penguins now are really quite close to the lodge. They've expanded their rookeries and they're quite close to the lodge. But that was lovely. And then I went to Saunders Island, which again, the most amazing wildlife. I was on the plane. I felt so sick.
Well, were you on the fire gas plane?
On the fire gas, because it goes across Lafonia and it's really quite bumpy, and I was sitting in the back. And there was a guy in the plane with us who was a karate teacher or something. And we landed in Saunders. We did our thing that day. And the following day was okay, and then he was staying in the same place as us actually. And then when we were due to leave, I said, I'm not looking forward to this because I feel sick. And he went, why don't you have one of these? And gave me a motion sickness tablet. I mean, it was in a blister pack. The way Steve tells it, he was offering me dodgy things out of a plastic bag. It wasn't. I knew exactly what make it was that I was taking. But that, I was, high as a kite after that. It really affected me. It felt great. Weddell, I loved Weddell. Weddell has some kind of odd lighting. I don't know what it is, but I really adore Weddell. It was blimmin' cold though because it was April, and they'd stayed open an extra week for me to go there. And I feared for my fingers. I thought I might lose my fingers because it was so cold at that time of year. But beautiful, beautiful lighting.
But how important is it then really for people to go to these islands really to experience? Because Stanley's nice, Stanley's brilliant. Stanley's
lovely, and it's not just the islands either. There's loads of places in settlements where people have, done up at like Port Sussex. Has got a gorgeous place. I think is it called Trout Court? where you just sort of fling open your door and you're there on the beach. It's
Oh wow!
gorgeous.
I need to go there.
And talking about digital detox, there you're in a dip, so you can't actually log on to the hotspot.
Definitely need to go there then. Right.
So you are really far away from it. Port Edgar is absolutely gorgeous. Plus the fact you've got the fact that I think it's in the, I can't remember, it was the First World War or the Second World War, and the British government asked all the overseas territories to identify a place that was going to be safe for the royal family to come to, and Port Edgar was identified as the place to be in the Falklands.
So
it's gorgeous.
So, which is the best island then? If you had to pick one, I know that's quite difficult.
Don't make me do that.
But if you've got any island that you'd love to go to, again, if I could give you a free ticket for a week in the nicest weather, where would you go if you could choose one?
If I could choose one, I think, do you know what? It'd probably be Bleaker, because Cassard House. I really loved Cassard House, and they've done so much to make it environmentally less as an impact. So I think it's underfloor heating. It's got this conservatory, so you can sit in the conservatory when it's chucking it with rain, and still you can still see out and see everything. I mean, Mike and Phil are just fantastic, and they've got this indoor barbecue thing. This kind of grill thing. Did you go and look at that?
Yes, I did, and they offer like food and beef and things like that.
So you can buy, I think if this is still the case, you can buy meal packs, so they'll actually make a meal for you, and then you've just got to heat it up.
Yeah.
Or you can buy food from their stores as well.
Well, a lot of it's now self-catering because they haven't been able to get a chef in. So they're doing a lot of self-catering stuff, which is good.
But it's all right, because Cassard House is lovely. And do you know
Absolutely.
what? For me, because I'm very, very picky, in Bleaker, in Cassard House, I opened one of the cupboards and there were flasks in there.
Yes.
And I thought, yes, that is brilliant. Somebody who thinks that when you're out and about, you need a cup of tea.
Absolutely.
And that's what you need.
And you get a Land Rover, well, obviously, you get to hire a Land Rover out as well.
Yeah.
And drive on the south, which is good.
Which you can do in a lot of them. I think a lot of the settlements allow you to do that as well.
But what's special about Bleaker is in the north, it's a protected area for birds. But if you go up to the fence and just sit there just for, 10, 20 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes, they become used to you, and then they start coming towards you. And you just sit there, and it's... I wouldn't recommend getting a packet of crisps out, because they might...
No, I've done that on Saunders. On Saunders, I sat down there to have a picnic. I got my sandwiches out and my Pringles, and all of a sudden there's like 20 striated caracaras, just having a look. What you got there? One of the rarest birds of prey in the world, and there's like 20 of them knocking around, pecking at your feet.
Are they them Johnny Rooks?
Yeah, Johnny Rooks, yeah.
Because they were following me. There was like a circle of them all following me on the Land Rover. And obviously it was the first time there. I didn't know what they were, so I was pretty nervous.
Yeah.
But I thought they might have had...
In fact, what we might do is we might throw some pictures of the islands over the top of this. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this on iTunes, that's great. But pop over to the YouTube channel and have a look on the video on the YouTube channel to see what we're doing then. Anyway, I think that comes to the end of our podcast this week, only because Mr. Foams has walked in the door and he needs to look at his bread at home, as we've said.
We're just talking about your epic bread that you made.
Yeah.
That's what we know. That's it. My new company, Steve's Epic Bread.
Okay, excellent.
There we go.
You heard it here first, folks. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe online to FITV, and don't forget to listen in next week.
See you later.
Bye.